Wow, what a way to start on a high note today. Thank you so much, Michelle, and thank you, Bill, for that conversation. I'm David Rousseau. I'm the Executive Director of Journalism and Technology at the Kaiser Family Foundation, also known as KFF. But it's also my privilege to chair the board of Media Impact Funders. And on behalf of my colleagues on the board, the staff, and the planning committee who put together today's fantastic program, welcome to the 2022 Annual Journalism Funders Gathering. A lot has changed since we last gathered together in person as a community in 2019. It was a time where we met in a KFF headquarters in San Francisco, and I don't think any of us could have predicted what the next few years would bring. A global pandemic, which is not over, by the way, an assault on the Capitol, war in Eastern Europe, the Dobbs verdict, or the Phillies and the Padres making it to the National League Championship Series. And I've heard a little bit about the Eagles and the Phillies since I've been in town for 12 hours, and I think I'll hear a little bit more. What we did all foresee, though, was the ongoing challenges facing local journalism. We've all seen remarkable new energy and resources enter the field over the last few years, much of which will be our focus this morning in our discussions. I also wanted to give a special welcome to those of you who are new attendees to this gathering. Not only are you in for really 2 great days of content and connection, you also happen to be here for the 20th anniversary of this event. In a moment, you'll be hearing about our network's early years. I won't give anything away, but I'm excited that we'll be able to explore our history together, one that many of you likely aren't familiar with. Though you may need to find Eric Newton and John Funabiki at the bar later tonight to hear some of the real stories about what happened in the early years. There's an urgent need for all of us in this network to learn from and collaborate with one another, to dig deeper into funding strategies and questions, and to continue to innovate. It feels like we say this every time we meet, but it's still true. Yes, this meeting will touch on the challenges we face and how they've evolved, and unfortunately, they are no less complicated today than they were in 2019 when we were last together in person. But we'll spend most of our time this year digging into what is working, how and why it works, and what we can do more. In short, we've all got a lot of work left to do. Many of us in this room are supporting and leading some of the most important efforts in journalism today, and we'll all look forward to hearing from you, learning from you, and then putting our ideas into action after we all depart. Before we get underway, I'd like to thank our hosts here at the National Constitution Center for providing such a wonderful and relevant venue for today's gathering. In between meetings and plenaries, I hope you get a chance to look around and explore the space if you haven't before. But now let's get down to business. The first 3 sessions this morning are going to be connected by an overarching theme, the local news crisis. In the next hour and a half, our panelists will provide us with the necessary framing to understand the challenges and how they're being addressed, opportunities for future investment, and lessons from the past that can inform our understanding of what to do next. And that's where we'll start, with a trip down memory lane. We'll hear about this network's origin story, the priorities of those early funders, and the parallels to today's challenges in local news. Here to guide us today, we're really fortunate to have Nancy Gibbs, Director of the Shortstein Center, and Edward R. Murrow, Professor of Practice of Press Politics and Public Policy. Nancy is a scholar, an expert in political journalism, and of course was the first female editor-in-chief of Time magazine. And that's just the tweet-length version of her long and distinguished bio. So please join me in welcoming Nancy to the stage and to introducing our next panel. I'm really looking forward to the next 2 days together, and welcome. Thank you all.